And welcome back to Comic Frontline, everybody. I am Brant Fowler, aka the Gonzogoose, back with you for another Marvel review. This is All New X-Men number 23. This is part 3 of 5 of the Trial of Jean Grey. If you missed the first 2 issues, that of course took place in All New X-Men number 22 and Guardians of the Galaxy issue number 11. And so this issue picks up after the Guardians have come to Earth and kind of met the X-Men, and we pick up with them in space. This issue, of course, is written by Brian Michael Bendis with art by Stuart Immonen and inks by Wade Von Grawbadger, colors by Marty Gracia, and letters by VC's Corey Petit. And if you remember the last 2 issues, All New X-Men and Guardians of the Galaxy, both of them told a story up to the point where the Shi'ar take Jean Grey, and then the Guardians of the Galaxy land at the X-Men's camp or base or whatever, and meet them. So, like I said, we pick up in space. They're on the Guardians ship, and they're filling each other in, all these introductions, and it's pretty cool. You got them all lined up, and Iceman keeps going on about Iceman and Angel keep going on about the talking tree, and Groot's just saying, "I am Groot," and and the talking raccoon, and they're just eating this all up. And Hank is like, "We're in space, we're in orbit already." I think it was Peter Quill, Star-Lord, that said, "You're just gonna keep geeking out on me this whole trip, aren't you, guy?" And he's like, "Most probably." Yeah. So just great dialogue, as we've seen throughout this entire series. And of course they're going into space trying to figure out what's happened to Jean. Meanwhile, we see Jean Grey on the Shi'ar ship, and she's trying to figure out why they've taken her, what they want from her, and they won't really give her any answers. They're like, all your answers will come in time, and she's kind of flipping out about it, but they've kind of subdued her. They have the entire Shi'ar army, the Imperial Guard there. Tons of characters just staring at her with this kind of knowing fear of what she becomes. A really great artistic depiction of their expressions, feeling that and everything. You can really feel the emotion from it. And it's humor aboard the Guardian ship, but then they, not to give too much away, they kind of run into the Shi'ar, and then there's this big conflict there, and we don't know what's going to happen. Jean Grey is transported to the Shi'ar homeworld, where a telepath is dealing with her, and she gives her a little bit of advice to help herself. And then at the end of the issue, which I'm not going to spoil, of course, there's a reunion of sorts. Unexpected third party joins the fray, and leads to what will be undoubtedly a reunion come the next issue of the story in Guardians of the Galaxy number 12. For me personally, this issue was fantastic. It was a step above the last issue of All New X-Men for me. The art, like I've already described, beautiful, amazing, great expressions, great postures, posing of the characters in different scenes. I am Groot, that whole dialogue bit, every time he was asked a question, the dichotomy of the various different character types throughout this. It was a really, really well done meeting without feeling, again, like, oh, this is this character, this is that character. It was just very fluid, and I appreciate that. And the story, and the artistic depictions when we first see Jean Grey floating in this bubble that apparently restricts her powers or whatever, and just her waking up and trying to fill out her surroundings and everything. Just a beautiful depiction, great colors, making it pop and everything. And in those moments, there was like this bluish glow on it that just really stood out against the stark blackness of the area that she was in at the time. So just beautifully illustrated this book was. And like I said, great dialogue, great progress through this, and the ending was a surprise that I didn't see coming, which was very interesting how that's going to play out come the next part of the story. So, and excuse me. And I also appreciate that now the X-Men and the Guardians are together, because if you remember, if you saw my reviews from the last two parts, one of my complaints was that both All New X-Men 22 and Guardians of the Galaxy 11 told the same story from each group's different perspective, and it was kind of, they were both nice introductory issues to those specific and separate parts, but they both ended up in the same place, and I was really hoping that it wouldn't be like that going forward, that, you know, the X-Men book wouldn't just be the X-Men side of the journey and the other side being the exact same time frame, just the Guardians. So now they're together, so I assume going forward it's just going to be a cohesive crossover between the two titles. And I think it's going to play out a lot better doing it that way, especially since Bendis is writing both titles. So I'm really looking forward to the next part in Guardians of the Galaxy number 12. This was a fantastic issue. I loved every part of it. I have really no complaints about this particular issue. That said, it wasn't like, oh my god, this is the greatest issue I've ever read. It was really, really solid, really good, but it wasn't like, oh my god, this is the one that I'm going to recommend everybody pick up this week, and that kind of thing. So for me, this is going to get a 4.5 for All New X-Men number 23, part 3 of 5 of the Trial of Jean Grey, and I highly recommend you check out this crossover story arc because it is so far really good. So there you go, 4.5, and that's going to wrap it up for this one. Check out all the other videos, reviews, all these other series that we have here on Comic Frontline. All kinds of new stuff coming up. We just did a special live show chatting with Pat Shan from Zenoscope Entertainment about his works and upcoming stuff. Check that out. Our live show every Tuesday. Media Madness starts next week, on next Wednesday. We're going to watch Ghostbusters. So all kinds of cool stuff on Comic Frontline. Check out comicrelated.com, updating 365 days a year, multiple times a day. Everything. It's your number one source for comic news, reviews, podcasts, webcomics, and so much more. And even more content over on the comicfrontline.com blogger, with updates daily there as well. And listen to the Zone 4 podcast every Friday, just debuted this week here on Comic Frontline. You can check that out on Comic Frontline, zone4podcast.com, comicrelated.com, comicspodcast.com, Stitcher, iTunes, all kinds of places that you can listen to the show, and Hall of Toys every month. And so I think that covers everything. So until the next video, thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.